Hey e-commerce folks, if you've been waiting for a video just for you, keep watching. This video is going to be all about how you can use your product description pages in order to get more traffic coming into your website from Google. So stick with me and I'll dig right into it right after this. Hi, I'm Meg Casebolt, the founder of Love It First Search, where we help online entrepreneurs to show up in search results and then turn those new visitors into leads, subscribers, and sales. Today, I'm going to be talking specifically to e-commerce business owners about the ways that you can use your website in order to get more traffic directly to your product pages. Now, I know I've spent the better part of the last year talking about blogging and content strategy for blogging and how to use that to educate and nurture your potential new clients. But for those of you with e-commerce businesses, you can blog, but you might not need to because you might have enough in your product descriptions to bring people right in who are looking for exactly what you are selling. And you have the benefit of potentially having dozens or hundreds of different products, and you can optimize each one of those pages for different target keywords. So you might not even need to blog, or at the very least, I recommend that you optimize your product descriptions before you start blogging, so that way people who are looking for those products can find them, and then you can link the blog posts in later. Don't worry about that yet. Now, both product listings and blog posts are different kinds of content that show up on your website. They have a lot of similarities between them, especially the way that they are optimized and the places that we put those specific target keywords. But really quickly before we get started, let me talk about how they're a little bit different. First of all, the goals of these pages are different. For many blog posts, the goal is education, and maybe at the end of it, we can try to get people to sign up for our email newsletter. Whereas the goal of a product description page is a sale. We don't need to tell a story. We don't need to educate our readers. By the time people make it to your product listing, they're either going to buy or they're not. They may not need that much more education that would come in the form of a blog post. Also, blog posts tend to be a little bit more long form content. They might have a story. They might be a little bit more structured. We want to break them up with section headings and images. We want to really be able to talk people through a transformation in a blog post. Whereas a product listing is structured in a different way. It's like, here's the title, here's the description, here's how to buy it. It gets to the point much faster. Also, when it comes to educational content, whether that's a blog post, a podcast interview, a YouTube video, each of those has a different topic that they're discussing. Whereas with product listings, it can be a little bit harder to make them all feel different because often many of the same factors are the same across different products. It's just things like colors or sizes shift a little bit. So we'll talk about how to make sure that you're not duplicating your content too much between product listings. And also the role of images is different. In a blog post, an image can kind of support the idea that you're trying to get across, but the point of the blog post is more about the text. Whereas on your product listing, you want to give people as many ways as possible to visualize themselves using that product. So you may have it as a mock-up or somebody wearing a t-shirt or show it from different angles. There are lots of different ways to use products to help make the sale. Even though in some ways it can be a little bit more difficult to optimize a product listing than it is a blog post, there are still 5 places that you want to make sure that you're paying attention to your SEO on your product description page. Number 1, your SEO title tag. You want to make sure that whatever shows up on the Google search engine results page reflects what that product actually is. So make sure to include 2 to 3 keywords potentially in your SEO title of your product so that people can find it. Remember that your SEO title tag is only 67 characters, so we have a really limited amount of space here. So if you're thinking about what you want to put into that key real estate, think about what are the 1 or 2 things that you want people to know about that product? What are the search terms people might be looking for this exact product? Not the product category, not dresses, but black dress with ruffle sleeves. And how is this product different from the other products in my shop? You can have product categories that would include all of the dresses, but then you want each of those products to find a way to set itself apart. This one has a scoop neck. This one has a V-neck. They might all be black dresses, but the ways that they are different should show up in those product SEO titles and product description pages. Number 2, when you're thinking about the SEO for your product listings, think about your meta description. So this is the part underneath the blue text on the Google search engine results. That's your title tag. Your meta description is the block of black text underneath that. The blue text is really what Google's paying attention to. The meta description, the black text, is more about what do you want your searcher to know about that product. There's a real person out there who might be looking for exactly what you're selling. And when that shows up in the search results, they've got 9 other search results there. So this might be the time to appeal to them with something that's not quite tangible. You might say something about the softness of the feel or the experience of what it's like to have that plant in your office. This might also be a place to show some of your personality or include some behind the scenes about what went into that product. What can you say in your meta description to make people want to click through to your website instead of the other 9 listings on that page? SEO consideration number 3, your headline. Okay, cool. So people clicked from Google over to your website, and now we have that headline or H1 tag, which in most e-commerce websites is also your product name. What do you want to put there? It doesn't necessarily have to be the same description that you have in your SEO title. This might be a place where you let some of your personality shine through. So if you're selling a painting of Nantucket, you might have your SEO title be a bit more informational. It might be like Nantucket Beach with Seagulls oil painting 24x36. It's like, these are the details that you need to know. And then the meta description might have something that's like, if you are envisioning a weekend at the beach and you want to bring it home with you, here's how you can bring that little piece of Nantucket into your home office. And then your product name can be a combination of that. It can show a little bit more of the feeling behind it. Maybe it's whimsy Nantucket inspired beach with bright white seagull painting. They don't all have to be the same, but they're all getting that idea of what people are looking for into those 3 key places. Number 4, think about your images, or maybe you even want to have a product video available for people to watch. For product pages, images are really important. So we want to make sure to take all of the best practices of image SEO and apply them to your product pages. The person who's searching for this wants to think of themselves wearing your clothes, hanging your painting on the wall, having your book on their bookshelf. And so they want the visual idea of what this product could be like in their lives. So think about all the ways that that person could potentially interact with what it is that you're selling. Maybe you want a video of somebody using the product, an image of somebody holding the product to show the size, a mock-up of the product in a real space, or a rendering of what that furniture could potentially look like in that room. The more information that you can give visually, the better. So if you're selling a leather purse, show the inside empty and then show it packed with all the cool stuff that you can fit into there, including like a computer that might be different sizes, and you want to include that information. That way, as people are scrolling through those images, they can visualize the way that they would use that product. And then once you've got that idea of the different ways that people could visualize themselves with these images, now make sure that Google knows what's in the images. And how do you do that? 1, your file name. When you're uploading that particular image, you want to make sure that you include information about what's in there, not just IMG6254. Number 2, your alt text. Your alt text is what shows up if people can't see that image. So think of it as a description where you can include more information as if you were explaining to somebody, this is what is in this picture. You can watch my full video about image SEO to get all of the tips about how to optimize your images. And our 5th key element of your product description page is your description, right? You would think the product description page should have a good description. Now, this might actually be the hardest part because writing product descriptions for SEO can be a little bit boring. So make sure that you include all that relevant information. You know, if you're selling something physical, you want to include the height and the weight and the materials that are used. Often you can use these as an accordion drop down or bullet points in the description so people can easily see whether or not that bookshelf will fit into their house. Include delivery information. Is this a physical product? Is shipping included? What's the shipping cost? Maybe it's a digital download. At which point, how is it received? What kind of format is it in? Any information that you can give about how people will receive your product can be helpful here. And any features and benefits of the product. Now, this is often where people get a little bit stuck because they have products that are really similar in their shop. And so if you have 20 different kinds of bookshelves and the only difference is the size of them, but they're using the same materials and the same varnishes and the same style of creating them, I don't know that much about bookshelves. I'm sorry. There are a couple of things you can do to make sure that you're setting your products apart from each other and not getting penalized for duplicate content across multiple products. Here are 3 tips to help with product listings that are really similar. 1, you can consolidate your product listings. If you have 5 t-shirts in 5 different colors and 5 different sizes, that doesn't mean you need 25 different products. That might mean you need one product with 2 drop downs with 5 options on each. And that way you can really spend some time building up the SEO of that t-shirt instead of trying to spread it out between 25 different pages and have them all competing against each other. Option 2, you can create a product category and try to get the category to rank for the overarching term and then give more specific details in the individual products. So if you have 7 different herbal tea blends, you don't want each one of those 7 pages to try to rank for the term herbal tea blend because they'll be competing against each other. Instead, you can have a product category for herbal tea blends, and then each of the products can have something a little different. This is the chamomile herbal tea. This is the lavender herbal tea. Do you put lavender in tea? This is the prenatal red raspberry leaf herbal tea, right? You can include a lot of different information in those specific products without each of them trying to rank for the overarching category. And then choice number 3, to make sure you don't duplicate content across multiple products, if you have things that are going to show up across all your pages, you can just make shop-wide links and then include them in your footer and maybe link to them from the product listing, but you don't have to include all that information on every product. So if all of your shipping policies are the same across all of your products, just say, here's a link to our shipping policies. And that way you don't have that same block of information about, shipping for free under $50. Why would it be under $50? Same with return policies. If you have the same policies, you can just include them in the footer and link to them from those product listings. So those are the recommendations for how to optimize your e-commerce product description pages for search. And I do recommend optimizing your product description pages before you start creating educational content. So that way when people come eventually to the educational content, you can lead them directly to the corresponding product description page and they can go buy your products without needing to have traffic that doesn't have a place to go. Please like this video if you thought it was helpful. If you have any additional questions about e-commerce SEO, please comment below and we'll make sure to create more videos to help you to optimize everything about your e-commerce website. Subscribe to the channel and I'll be back next week with more tips to help you get traffic to your website easily so you don't have to work as hard. See you then.